Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9, starts right now.
Our top story tonight, after nearly 2 weeks of searching, Holly Courtier has been found in Zion National Park alive. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Brian Cheney.
And I'm Kirsten Nunez. Search and rescue crews found her after getting a tip, and tonight, after 12 days, she is finally reunited with her family.
Fox 13 spoke with one of the volunteers with Utah Search Dogs who was called out by the National Park Service 2 days ago. He says he and his canine hiked over 30 miles, ruling out places she wasn't at. Despite not finding Holly himself, Jason Gull admits this search had a much better outcome than many.
Before I heard that she found, was starting to get very discouraged. I'm particularly glad that she was found. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to help.
Holly's family releasing a statement saying, in part, we are overjoyed that she was found safely today. We would like to thank the rangers and search teams who relentlessly looked for her day and night and never gave up hope. We have new information about a shooting near Tanner Park in Salt Lake City that ended up with 3 people in critical condition and a shooter on the loose. Salt Lake City police say shots rang out just after 4 this afternoon. 2 people hit in the shooting. Another was injured. Now, police did not say how the third person was injured.
Right now we have an idea of who we're looking for, and we're going to allow law enforcement to go ahead and take the lead on that right now. And so we're not asking for the public's help at this time. But if it does come to that, then we will put that information out.
All 3 victims were taken to area hospitals in critical condition.
Now to the range fire in Utah County, and this incredible video that you see here shot by Sergeant Spencer Cannon with the Utah County Sheriff's Office. Now this fire has doubled in size to more than 3,100 acres, but fire crews have been able to gain 10% containment.
Here's a look at the fire activity in Provo Canyon near Bridalveil Falls tonight. The canyon is still closed this evening.
Fox 13's Spencer Joseph has the latest from the mouth of the canyon.
It is quite a bit cooler and more humid tonight than it was when we were out here last night, which is helping firefighting efforts. Now, that isn't the only thing that's being discussed today. Really, why this fire got so big is at the forefront of all of the firefighters' minds. As fire crews continue to battle on the second day of the range fire.
It got into some oak brush and through the grass, and so it kind of took off.
The efforts turned from attack to containment.
Made an aggressive run today, but it's slowed down a little bit now that the temperatures have fallen.
The main reason for this late in the season fire getting out of control, the dry conditions.
That is definitely a key factor in the growth of the fire.
With the state not seeing enough water for this time of year, everything is dry enough to light.
And from the grass to the oak brush to the pine trees are very dry. Right now as a state, we are in either extreme or severe drought conditions. We haven't had a considerable or measurable rainfall in a very long time.
Making the end of fire season not a time of year, but when we get enough precipitation for areas like Provo Canyon not to burn as the range fire heads into day 3.
They will have a night shift in operation monitoring the fire as well. They'll be engaged where needed.
They are reassessing when Provo Canyon can reopen, possibly tomorrow, but only if it's safe. They are going to send up an airplane tomorrow morning to map by infrared to see where those hotspots are and determine the feasibility of reopening the canyon. In Orem, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
University of Utah police are investigating a sexual assault on campus this weekend. Investigators say the attack happened between 4 and 5 p.m. on Saturday. Now, the victim told police she was assaulted inside a car on the 400 block of South Mario Capecchi Drive. We've also learned that the victim and the person of interest in this attack met on a dating website. Now, the victim is not affiliated with the university, but university police say there was a weapon in the car, but it was not used in this attack. The person of interest is described as a man with a slim build, shaved head, and was wearing a military uniform. The car was a dark-colored late model car. If you have any information, call University Police at 801-585-2677.
A protection order violation turning into a hostage standoff in Tooele last night. It all happened just after 9 last night at a busy shopping mall off of Main Street. Workers at a nearby business were in the middle of it all and had to shelter in place for over 3 hours before police were able to safely evacuate them.
I was nervous. My heart was racing the whole time because I'm like, this is serious. I don't know what's going on.
Police say they tried to negotiate with the suspect for hours before having to use lethal force. The hostage victim suffered injuries during the standoff and was taken to the hospital where she is recovering.
Unified Police are searching for the suspect of a shooting in Mill Creek overnight. Detectives say just after midnight, they got a call from someone who was passing the Clearwater car wash, reporting that a man had been shot outside of that business. Paramedics took the 21-year-old victim to a nearby hospital where he later died.
We're looking for anybody who might have information or who may have witnessed the incident or any kind of an altercation in the area.
The victim's name is not being released at this point until his family has been notified. But if you do have any information, you are asked to call Unified Police. The latest in coronavirus numbers today, Utah saw another day of over 1,000 new cases of COVID-19, bringing our statewide total to more than 94,000. Just over 74% of those cases are considered recovered. A rolling 7-day positive percentage rate rose again to 14.2%. 291 people are currently hospitalized because of the virus.
3 more people lost their lives to the virus, bringing the total to 543. 2 of them from Salt Lake County, 1 man, 1 woman, both over 65 years old. The third, a woman from Davis County between the ages of 45 and 64.
Well, it was a success to tear down that shelter. It was a success to get those people out of that neighborhood.
But was everything about Operation Rio Grande a success? Fox 13 News goes in depth on this issue in tonight's 360 report.
And spectacular weather here throughout the weekend. We keep these temperatures just ideal, but we have a couple of cold fronts over the next several days. One will drop temperatures. Another one could bring snow. We'll lay it all out for you coming up in just a bit.
Since COVID-19 hit, Mayor Jenny Wilson has made tough choices to keep our families safe.
Her life-saving mask requirements saved my business.
She's helped schools buy PPE and laptops.
And created small business grants.
Thanks to Mayor Wilson, I've kept my staff on payroll.
She is showing leadership in a crisis.
I'm from South Salt Lake.
I'm from Riverton.
I'm from West Valley.
I'm from Harriman.
I'm from Salt Lake City.
I'm a Republican from Riverton.
Please join us all in voting for County Mayor Jenny Wilson.
Decades of nuclear testing here meant increased cancer rates downwind here. But Burgess Owens called for restarting nuclear testing, saying he absolutely supported it. And at the same time, Owens said he'd repeal healthcare protections for people with pre-existing conditions, like cancer. 200,000 Utahns would lose their healthcare. Nuclear testing was bad. Burgess Owens would make it worse. House Majority PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
The federal government failed us on the virus. Now more than ever, we need to make healthcare more affordable and cover more people, and financial help for individuals and small businesses.
Ben exposed waste in the bailout and helped businesses reopen. I'm a Republican businessman, and Ben McAdams is my vote for Congress.
I'm Ben McAdams. I sponsored this message to protect our tax dollars, to keep people safe, to reopen our businesses, and get us back to work.
We discussed the weather. I want to highlight what happened today where statewide temperatures above normal. Again, in the 70s along the Wasatch Front. Our average high for this time of year, 64 degrees, making up in the 70s across central Utah, even 80s as you go from Cedar City through St. George. Now, right now, we're looking at 50s. These are temperatures still unseasonably warm for this hour. And of course, this time of year. Winds have been light throughout most of the afternoon. And as we look statewide, winds have not been a concern. Of course, we've been focusing in on that range fire, Provo Canyon, where throughout the afternoon, winds, on a range between 5 to 10 miles per hour. Winds just not much of a factor for that situation there. That's good news. It is dry. It is clear. High pressure is in place. Now, we've been seeing a few clouds extreme northern Utah, but really over the past few hours, those clouds thinning out. We've got clear skies overnight. Temperatures, of course, will be dropping where we'll be looking at 40s along the Wasatch Front. But the pattern that we're going to be seeing and continuing on as we're holding steady, high pressure slowly building up. That means we're going to keep temperatures above normal. It looks like fronts and storms moving off towards the east. Now, we do have an additional cold front we're keeping our eye on. It looks to hit us on Wednesday. It will be clipping northern Utah, drop the temperatures. It's the bigger one behind that for the weekend. That's going to be really changing things up. Season changing in that it brings a hint of winter back into the area. Tonight, though, it's clear. It's 40s again, as mentioned, along the Wasatch Front, upper 30s in Vernal, low 50s in St. George. Tomorrow, it's just sunny and temperatures about where we saw today. 70s along the Wasatch Front, near 80 degrees in Cedar City. St. George's upper 80s, and we'll keep it there all throughout the upcoming week. But then Thursday, Friday, we start to see that temperature change. The second storm brings a chance of rain showers on Sunday. Monday, it's sunny and temperatures remaining in the 70s up until Thursday. It's 50s, 60s, and then Sunday is when the next storm hits. It brings rain, and rain changing into snow. So we hold on to fall at least for a few more days.
Here at Fox 13, we know big topics have many perspectives, and that's why we've launched a new series of stories that we're calling 360.
Tonight, we break down one of Utah's most ambitious and expensive projects ever, address the homelessness and crime surrounding Operation Rio Grande. Here's Fox 13's Todd Tanner.
On August 14th, 2017, state and local leaders kicked off a comprehensive effort to crack down on crime on Salt Lake City's west side. Those behind Operation Rio Grande say it was designed to help the homeless in the process. More than 500 people were arrested for drug possession or outstanding warrants in the first 2 weeks alone. But now the 3-year operation is over. What did taxpayers get for the $67 million cost? Is the city any safer? And were homeless people really helped? In this 360, you'll hear from the Department of Health and Human Services.
Something had to be done.
The Department of Public Safety.
We're definitely seeing a trajectory that's concerning.
Salt Lake City's mayor.
Most of those people didn't go away. They just moved to a different part of the city.
The Salt Lake City Police.
Crime's down in the Rio Grande area.
The ACLU.
Law enforcement chewed up so much of the budget.
Business owners.
It was hell down there.
And residents.
I am so scared for my neighborhood.
But first,
I was out here, no shoes, shooting up every 2 hours.
A woman whose experience with these topics is perhaps the most personal.
This is the park where I was arrested during Operation Rio Grande. I was asleep just over there next to the fence line.
Destiny Garcia grew up in the Salt Lake Valley, a fairly normal life, she says, until she had
relationships that broke me mentally, physically, emotionally. I started taking pain pills. Once those got too expensive and I met somebody down in this area that did heroin, that's all she wrote.
Addiction spiraled into homelessness.
I was in this area for 4.5, 5 years. Shoplifting every single day, numerous times a day to support my habit.
She got caught several times, but
I normally got a citation and let go.
The directive to officers at the outset of Operation Rio Grande: enforce minor violations and arrest for outstanding warrants, no matter how small.
Her name was Agent Pollock, and she pulled me aside and she sat me on this curb. She said, "You clearly need help." When I went to jail on 13 traffic tickets and a shoplifting ticket.
What did taxpayers get? Phase 1 was all about law enforcement. Costs included things like paying extra officers and establishing drug courts.
Phase 2 was all about treatment. 275 additional treatment beds into our system. That was huge.
Phase 3.
The last phase focused on housing and work.
The total cost for the 3 years of Operation Rio Grande, $67 million. The ACLU says the money was not well spent.
It was about preserving a place through almost a military-style operation and making that place safe for developers and buildings and other people coming through.
All total, there were over 7,000 arrests.
What we saw was a revolving door of people picked up for very minor infractions.
When you stop addressing the lower level crimes, you stop prosecuting them, that signals to the drug dealers, it signals to the hardened criminals, hey, we can come in.
Brian Redd of the Utah Department of Public Safety.
It's not as easy as they're just homeless or they're all criminals. It's the gamut in there. And it's really important that law enforcement and social services, crisis services come together.
I didn't have the courage to walk in a place and find out what resources were. In this instance, they were just handed to me. I ran with it. I did whatever they asked me to do. I looked at things within myself I didn't want to, because that's what you're required to do in treatment.
Destiny completed drug court, got her record expunged, found employment.
I have 2 jobs. I pay my own bills.
And is about to buy her own home. She says there will be room there for the one thing she hasn't gotten back yet.
I do have an 18-year-old daughter that hasn't spoke to me. She still hasn't. She's entitled to feel whatever she's feeling, and hopefully in time that we'll be able to have some type of relationship.
Is the city safer now?
Crime's down in the Rio Grande area.
Police say
those statistics have dropped significantly.
Of course, there are fewer people in the area since the Road Home shelter has been torn down.
Which was really only a place to sleep, didn't even serve food, made people leave during the day, and helped us transform to the Homeless Resource Center model that's working so well today. We just need more of them.
4 new shelters were built elsewhere in the city and county, paid for with other funds, not part of Rio Grande's budget.
It was a success to tear down that shelter. It was a success to get those people out of that neighborhood.
Abs DeLay has lived and worked in the Rio Grande area for 20 years. She says it feels much safer now, but
it just moved them to another neighborhood and scattered them throughout the city.
This area has gotten rougher post Rio Grande.
Bill Coker and Lucy Cardenas own the Red Iguana restaurants.
Our restaurants are 2 blocks apart, and the fastest way to get to our restaurants is right down 800 West, where up to 100 to 120 people congregate there throughout the day and all night. 8th West, even 4 months ago, was not like it has been.
We have prowlers in our backyard. You know, people break into our businesses.
One of their employees witnessed a murder, the second in a year, to take place in front of the Wiener Schnitzel.
He's closed on Sundays. They take over his building and his patio on Sundays.
It's not a crime to not have a house. So we don't ask people if they're homeless. We don't track people that are homeless. That's something we've never done. But what we do is track crime and see if there's crime spikes.
Salt Lake police say they're doing more in the area.
COVID is also causing some challenges. The jail population is down right now because of COVID. They've had to put restrictions there. You have the resource centers that have had to decrease, the number of people that they serve because of social distancing.
Just how many people were helped by Operation Rio Grande? The full impact is impossible to quantify, but the state's statistics for the first 2 years of the operation, before the new resource centers opened, tell part of the story. 136 people participated in drug court, 246 found employment, 263 moved on from shelters into housing, 533 received inpatient treatment of some kind.
It worked for me.
This interview marks Destiny's first return to the park since her arrest.
Top of a syringe cap.
Drug paraphernalia litters the ground as much as it ever did, and other homeless people seem to have taken her place.
You know more about that person than most of us do.
Yeah, he's probably broken and hopeless. I thank God that I'm not there anymore.
She has a new favorite spot downtown.
You used to be homeless on these streets, and now you're right up there above them.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's very, very humbling, too.
A massive mural honoring inspiring women of Utah graces the side of a building. Near the top is where you'll find Destiny.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
The ACLU says more people could have benefited from Operation Rio Grande.
Had they reoriented it and made it much more about helping people first and only using jail and incarceration as a last resort, I think you would have seen a much different result.
Was it perfect? No. But was it a good model to continue to work off of? I believe so.
Everyone we asked about Operation Rio Grande seemed to think more mental health care was needed.
Mental health was a part of it with getting new treatment beds. I think, it's accepted that the mental health aspect is a far greater and bigger concern that is still out there that needs to be addressed.
Everyone also agrees the hard work is far from over.
As a population grows, so too does some proportionate amount of the homeless population. And Salt Lake City, the state of Utah, in fact, is growing faster than any other state in the nation. We need to be growing our homeless services because we are a growing state.
Todd Tanner, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And finally, some personal news for you. Tonight is my last newscast at Fox 13. I grew up watching Fox 13, and by working here, I fulfilled a childhood dream. I am beyond grateful for the last 7 years and the opportunities I've had to accomplish the goals that I set for myself as a journalist. I have covered countless stories and been sent on some fun and wild assignments, but I've also seen a lot of tragedy. One of the most heartbreaking experiences I've had was reporting in Las Vegas just hours after the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. Still hard for me to think about that day and what I saw. But what stands out the most is the overwhelming strength and courage shown by those I interviewed. And that is the case for my entire career, whether it was a murder investigation, a deadly car crash, or a horrific tragedy. I am beyond grateful for those who trusted me to share their stories, especially those who were in the middle of enduring their darkest times. My heart broke for you, and when the camera was off and I went home, you stayed in my heart and prayers. You have taught me powerful lessons of love and forgiveness. Those are lessons I will now teach my children, which leads me to my next and most important adventure yet, raising my growing family. Thank you for your love and support, and thanks for watching.